allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I have a comment. On page 3, is that 2? 3? When we're talking about, discuss how the funds raised for the recycle project will be accounted for, comma, blank. Blank and blank.
We'll put it in this week's minutes, because we're gonna set up a new fund.
Oh, is that what you meant to
Yeah.
say there?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I thought you had a lot more to say.
No.
So, I just had a big question mark. Like, she's leaving me hanging.
We'll make sure it's in this.
Okay.
I will not be amending my motion.
Any further discussion? Question?
Aye.
I abstain.
Aye.
One. Correspondence. No. Public comment. This is the time for the public, if they would like to talk, they can. You want to talk? No, I was talking to the guy behind you, but you're good. It's okay, you're
I'll
good.
slouch a little more next
Yeah.
time.
You're good.
Can't make eye contact. I think, and it's kind of, I just see Roger now. I don't know if you got a notice from DEQ about a proposed rule and amendment for the discharge for the lagoons.
No.
Seen a rule proposal change?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay. Just, I talked to, I talked to Paul Montgomery on the thing. He sort of explained it and still.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on.
It's just, if you don't comply and you're not meeting the standards, watch out. 'Cause it'll tag you big.
Yeah.
You've seen that.
Yeah, it was in a memorandum thing.
Any other public comment? Okay, council reports, animal.
There wasn't
Oh. No calls responded to. Parks.
Garbage detail, no other activity.
Crime and court. Do we get anything from crime and court? No. Pool, no activity. Sewer.
All checks and maintenance being done, all testing has been completed, 1 sewer plug up responded to, and 3 hookups down.
We had a plug up under the freeway. It was discovered by a town pump. They're usually the culprits that plug it up, but they're the biggest contributor up there. And so we got that clean with our sewer jet that we have. We have of our own. You know, we have the one with Thompson Falls, but Tony and I built one a long time ago. And it's been a lifesaver because otherwise you have to take off to Thompson Falls and get back. And then, so we got it unplugged, and then we went home. And evidently, some of the debris, I couldn't tell what it was. Because when that comes, you've got manholes that are full all the way up above, and then when you break it loose, it just goes gushing down. So you can't really tell what's blocking it. And then evidently, it continued on down for a ways, and then plugged up again. And then Rodney came and knocked on my door and said, "We got another plug up." Well, this one was between where Dana Austin is and another manhole down right in front of the apartments, and it backed up before we could get it, and it went into the apartments. So 2 of the apartments got damaged, and the insurance company's already been down in there. And one of the things they wanted to know is we chased it, and I've never had a plug up cleaned up and then plug up somewhere else. Usually when you bust it up, it just falls into pieces and off it goes. But it did, and I said, well, I don't know if we could have chased it all the way down because a lot of the manholes are buried. Some of them under asphalt, some of them under a lot of dirt. In the wintertime, they're frozen, they're hard to get to. But anyway, that was one of his criteria that he would have liked to seen if he chased it down. I said, well, if that's the case, what we're gonna have to do is raise every manhole that's buried. And we're talking 75 manholes at least. So, because if they want you to unplug and then continue to follow it till it gets to where you think it's gonna be safe, we're gonna have to raise everything that's buried, and that's gonna take a little bit of time to get that done. But I think it's probably prudent, since the insurance company went down. And it wasn't the apartment's fault, you know, it was just, it came down and then plugged up again. And, so, that's where we are on that. Sewer hookups were for the new apartments by us,
Mhm.
and that was pretty interesting. It was 12 feet deep, a 3-inch water main in the way. Here's the sewer right here, and the 3-inch water main's right next to it. And there's a power pole that was right there, and it kept sloughing off and everything like that. And we had a trench box down there. We were trying to be as safe as we could. And so we were drilling and watching, and Rodney was watching, and I was drilling and everything. We got them in. And then it caved in on us. We lost a drill and a hammer and a chisel.
It's still there.
It's still down there.
It's safe down there in the dirt.
Pulled him out of
Away.
the way of that.
Yeah, he was watching and I was drilling, because you gotta drill, what you are, these are taps that you have to go into the side of the pipe, and it's concrete asbestos concrete. So you make a circle of the size of the thing, then you drill a whole bunch of holes around, and then you knock that out, and then you gotta chisel it all the way around so it'll fit in there, and then you glue it. So and it's a hammer drill as you're putting that in, it's really shaking.
Vibrating.
Well, the bank was just straight up and down, and it had been doing this all the whole time. And so I'm doing it, and he's watching. The next thing I know, off I go. The drill goes this way, and I go, what the heck? And it all caved down and went right on top where I was. So we were being as safe as we could. But it was tough to get that trench box in there. We had it in there, so if we had to, we could dive into it. But we got those 3 hooked up, and they're
Holy smokes.
doing good.
Still on
Right.
schedule to retire then, huh?
Alive. And then we had more problems, but I say that in the water, or I can do
Yep,
it.
we can do that.
Okay.
Gonna go there now?
Yeah.
Water.
Because what, okay, water, I can't wait to hear this story. All testing has been done, all checks and maintenance being done, 3 water hookups done, water main in alley was broken.
Yeah, and that's the same span that we had. It was so deep, plus it was really wide, and it just, how it fell, the 3-inch pipe had a joint right there in the middle. So it was hanging like this with that joint in there. And then he had to backfill it. And so he backfilled it and then started banging it with the bucket. And we left and everything was good. And then at 8:30, knocking on my door, I just broke the water line. So we went over there, and yeah, water's just gushing over, filled all their holes. And so then I had to get it shut off. Fortunately, 2 valves and only 5 houses that were affected. I gave him crap. I said, you just turned off the main or something? And he's pissed off. He's looking at me. So we weren't able to fix it that night. They had to wait till they could get the part out of Missoula and then bring it back in, and then they compacted it underneath it, got it up, and then raised it, put this boot on it. So far, it hasn't leaked. And the pipe, believe it or not, it looked really, really good. It wasn't corroded. It just the weight on that joint off the threads.
Wow.
So we got it
Hours
carried.
at work.
Yeah, we don't knock on everybody's door.
Oh, boy.
That was weird, I'll tell you. It was 8:30, knock on the door. I'm like, you expecting anybody? He's like, no. And I heard Roger, you got water? Nope.
Nope, no water.
Oh,
And
dear.
in some parts of town, you have to take 10 valves and shut 40 houses off.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It's fortunate. It was
Those things happen.
2 valves and 5 houses is all.
That's big.
And they got it fixed, and it's all back down, and they're moving right along now.
They're backfilling the foundations.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
that's
looking
all
really,
done.
really good, yeah. They got that done today,
They
they did
have
most of it.
building materials are coming in and,
Yeah, they put
they
that.
put gravel in between the driveways.
And that was just the broken part. The other 3 water hookups were to the main on 3rd Avenue that were going to each apartment.
I take it they're gonna put a dry well?
Yeah,
Is there?
French drain in there. guess they're gonna, I have never seen the plans, just to know exactly what they're doing with the back, but supposedly they're gonna have that all draining into that.
Well,
Trench drain.
Streets.
All plowing and sanding being done.
Yeah, if you remember last meeting, I said, it's been a real mild and that we got it made. 3 days straight, and we were out for overtime, and the first time it snowed like 3 inches, and I know we're okay, but then it got all warm. And then the sheriff's office says, oh, it's getting a little slushy, so I went out and looked, and so I went out for 3 hours and just blew the slush off, thinking, oh, we'll be good, and then it snowed 4 more inches that night, so then we went out and plowed that day, and then the next Tuesday or Monday, it did another 4 to 6 inches. So I'm not saying anything, but I am taking my plow off this week.
Okay.
We need the end loader
There we go.
to move a gazebo.
Spring snowstorm.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm taking the plow off. Not both of them.
All right. Fire department monthly monthly report for January through February. 4 emergency calls, 4 training sessions, recruiting and retention, and public relations. Chief.
Got a few items for you regarding the fire department. I'm the new guy.
Yay.
Thrilled to have your
We should
support.
stand and
We'll
make
do a good job for you. We have promoted Don Mellon to our other assistant chief position. And to fill Don's captain spot, we promoted Sean Parker up. Both of them have been with the department a long time. They'll do a good job filling in. We had an opportunity to apply for a grant in February. We did that. It's an aid to firefighter grant. And our hope is to get the grant and put a new base station radio here in the fire hall so that we can communicate directly with our crews while they're en route. We can get off dispatch frequency. We can go to red sooner. That'll make Ronnie much happier if we spend more time on red and less time on central. And that's got a 5% match. And we submitted for $15,000. And a lot of times if your project comes in less, you can use that money for other things and reprogram it. John was a wizard at doing that. And so we're hopeful that we'll get the grant, and we'll know in a couple months. I need to test your knowledge and ask you a question about bridge repair. During the summer, we were out on, we were out on a call at the request of Incident Command for the Sunrise Fire. And our brush truck was going across an old farm bridge, really marginal farm bridge, and fell through. And we had to pull it out. Truck came out without really any real damage to it. And I've inherited as the new guy the job of assessing the need, ability, and cost of replacing that bridge for the property owner because they're anxious to get the bridge fixed. So learned a few things along the way. One is it's not cheap to fix this bridge. It's about, first estimate came in at about $15,000. The second estimate I got this morning was $7,000, so the price is going down.
Oh, good.
Getting better.
Keep asking.
But, we have a $750 deductible on our insurance policy. And Brenda and I were talking about it, and I chose to call our agent and ask about, is this a claim that we can submit? And the feedback I got was really cautious. They told me that it didn't occur within our fire district. And while our crews are insured for liability wherever they go, we may not have coverage if we're outside of our district and we damage property. That may be a liability of the incident command for the fire itself. So I think I've come away with 2 different recommendations for you. One is I think Brenda and I really ought to sit down and talk to our insurance company heart to heart about what are we really covered for and what should we turn in as a claim, because we're so far downstream now that coming back and filing a claim may cause problems because it's so late. But we may need to file a claim just to get our foot in the door there, because it looks like at a minimum it's going to take some real money to fix this bridge. And then the second thing is there is a certain statutory exemption for police and fire to be out there conducting what they need to do in order to fight a fire or suppress crime, and we may not be liable at all. So I think that's why we really need to visit with our insurance carrier and kind of assess whether we really want to jump out and say we want to do this. one other option for us is to meet with the property owner and say, listen, spending this amount of money on your bridge brings it back to as new condition, and it's a pretty old beat up bridge. Should we not share in that cost if we're not going to have insurance coverage? So there's a whole bunch of issues that have sort of surfaced that I think we really ought to spend some time to kind of work through instead of just jumping out and paying for a bridge. And I wanted to make sure that you were all on the same page with us there and didn't have any other ideas that you wanted us to look at or any strong feelings about repairing the bridge. It looks like it's going to take some fairly significant dollars. It looks like we've got a $750 deductible that might be of some help. But it wouldn't surprise me to see our insurance company come back and say, no, we're not going to cover this. And you need to go talk to the state. Emily can help us with that. But and the third issue is there comes a point where we are potentially statutorily exempt from all property damage when we're out conducting our activities as a fire department. For heaven's sakes, a house burns down, we're not responsible for the house burning down. Our job is to come put it out. So unless you have any feedback, my recommendation to you is Brenda and I get with the insurance company right away, find out really what are we covered for, and then we probably need to get a claim going.
And
So-
this occurred in what's what we call the no man's land.
Outside
It's
of
not
the
in our
district.
district. Not in the town, not in the rural district. It's that area that's between Coleman's Corners and Tarkio. Now, Westfall is in the district, but the rest of all that out there, Lozo, most of those areas out there are not in the district. That's another issue.
Were you on a mutual aid?
We were, no, not automatic aid or mutual aid. We were there because of the request of the incident command for the fire area. State activity, they specifically asked us to go out and conduct spot fire suppression. We were out there outside of our district on their behalf at their request. And so are a lot of other agencies. We're not the only one that goes out there at the request of these incident commands. A lot of volunteer fire departments show up and do help.
Steve, is the insurance for the fire department under MMIA or?
It is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of coverages under MMIA, our workman's comp, our liability.
That just seems kind of like the insurance company's trying to weasel out.
Well, the advantage I have is I'm the new guy, and I can come in and, we can address the issue of the claim not being filed by, here I am. We're dealing with it now. It's before us. It's the best we can do.
And I take it the property owner is upset because
The property owner wants the bridge fixed, and she has, Toots, is that a lady?
Right.
Okay, Toots.
Just Billy and
It's Billy.
Oh, I've got records.
Bricker's her last
yeah,
name.
that's the
Brooker's her
last
last name.
There we go. Is anxious to get the bridge repaired, but it was in pretty poor condition. The fellow came in and talked to me this morning and said, that bridge was in horrible shape, very rotted, deteriorated, and his advice was, at a minimum, you need to go talk to Toots and see if she'll participate in some of this cost, because you're putting it back in new condition when you repair it. Because it's totally got to be torn out and rebuilt.
Would they be the owners of the bridge, or is?
They are. It's
To-
It's on their
their
property.
property.
Could it be something we could do like a 50-50 match, maybe?
I think
something.
that's what I would recommend to you that we do. You're replacing bridge pilings, you're replacing bridge beams, and you're replacing bridge deck. It's not like the bridge deck broke. The whole bridge collapsed under the weight of that fire truck. We're really lucky we didn't hurt anything on the equipment, but we have a new protocol for going over bridges. It's called get out, yeah,
As you
don't.
should.
Get out, walk, and look before you
Farm
run,
one.
especially the old farm bridges. And we have a bunch of them in the district. Okay, so if any of you want to discuss it, I'd be open to talking to you. The last thing I had is we have a grant that we received of $5,000 that we're buying radios that are designed to talk to the Forest Service. Right now, the only way we can talk to the Forest Service is having their IC's cell phone number, which I have. That's kind of awkward when we're back in the canyon and can't talk during lightning strike. But we also can talk on our TAC channel, our tactical channel, to them, and they can talk to us. We really don't have access to their frequencies, their emergency evacuation frequencies, their command frequencies, their airdrop, air-to-ground frequencies. And so we've got a grant that will buy a couple of radios that will have all the Forest Service frequencies on them. We'll keep one of those in Engine 1, and we'll keep one in our tender, because my experience is the majority of the time we go out and help the Forest Service, it's with our tender. We're a water supplier. We're not going, I jokingly say we never leave the end of our hoses, and that's safe for the volunteer fire departments. But majority of the time is we're using our tenders to go supply water to them. And so we'll have a radio that will be able to communicate with them, and we'll use the majority of this $5,000 to buy those radios. They're not cheap anymore. You made me respect, the batteries and radios that we do have. It takes about $2,000 per radio to outfit a radio. And that's all I have, unless you have questions of me.
Would we want to annex that property where the ridge is? Did you say they're outside of the fire
The
district?
rural fire district would have to do anything on the annexation, not the town.
Okay, well, you're looking at about 11 miles out of
Way
town,
out.
approximately. Yeah.
It'd be a long reach to get there.
Okay. EPA Superfund. Oh, wait, I forgot council concerns. Council concerns. Karen? Now,
The 8-hour hazmat course has been scheduled for March 20th. I think we have 12, 13, 14 people. Looks like a few people have dropped out. We thought we were going to pick a few up because of having the 40-hour class last year, and we needed a renewal, but I don't know what's quite happening with all particular people. I know some people have moved and stuff, but anyway, we'll have it. But it's very likely the last course that Bill Corwin of Corwin Environmental will put on. And so if there's anything in the future, first of all, it's probably going to get incredibly expensive. But I just don't even know if it's available out there. We'll just have to see how much they've completed and finished up in the Flat Creek and stuff. It's a changing fluid dynamic process up there. Starting to hear money shortages, so that who knows who's going to finish what part of it. Forest Service says that they're short on funds. DEQ came in under bid, so EPA is hovering around. We were proposed to have some kind of meeting to sit down, because I'm still concerned that we don't have a repository to put waste in, and what are we going to do about that? And that hasn't transpired yet, so we'll just have to keep with that for what's going on up there. Been paying attention to the CAG group, and there's a special meeting on the 14th. They would like to have some kind of comment from the downstreamers, what our concerns are and stuff. I don't know. Hopefully maybe put something together for that Smith and Stone meeting and stuff. But it's progressing, but it's totally different than just a straight Superfund site. It's a oversight by the EPA under the Superfund rules, but the owner still occupies it, owns it, and it makes it a whole different process. So it's kind of the latest on that front.
Thank you. Okay, recycling project.
Good evening. I'm excited to say that things are going well. I was sick for a little while, so it was a sort of a slow start, but I'm really pleased that the response has been good, and we're just about at $200 of what's been pledged by these other people. So that gives me a lot of hope here that this is going to happen soon. I just came from the school board meeting this evening, and they put me into the top of the agenda, which was very nice, because I told them I needed to get back here. And we're very positive about the ask, and I asked them for $100 a month. So that happens, and they said they would call me. We'll be calling to get the bin soon. And so I just wanted to say a little bit about the relationship then that I'm looking forward to, but for this whole project then with Republic, for them, it's going to be quite efficient because they'll be coming one man, one truck, one pickup. And so that's a pretty neat little deal for them. And then they haul back all these commodities that they then, of course, as you know, make money from. And I included a thing in your packets this evening talking about Republic and their revenues from last year. And so kind of comparing
Nice to be
them,
in my bank account.
they're, one guy, one truck, one pickup, as opposed to their cost and involved in one guy, one truck, and 400 pickups. I don't know how many pickups they do, but so this is a neat deal for them and a good relationship for us. So it looks like we're going to be calling soon, but we're not going to call for the bin until the money is in the account that Brenda is setting up. So I would like to send a little note of confirmation to all of those people who have pledged, sort of as a little reminder, and just letting them know what I understood them to agree to, and so then we'll be moving forward. Do you have any questions?
And you needed $450 pledged, is that right?
For one pull,
For one
would
pull.
need to be $450. That is correct.
And
We're still just expecting one poll a month, approximately.
It's very difficult to tell, but that's what we're gearing up for now. And then as time goes on, continuing to get more pledges, building up that account, and seeing, definitely monitoring carefully the utilization of that bin, which holds between 3,000 and 4,000 pounds. It's larger than 20 yards. I wish I could tell you exactly how many yards, but anyway, it's a lot can go in there. So hopefully it will last 30 days.
And I have a little can here that Brenda is going to put in the office window for people that come up. And I've pledged my $10 monthly paycheck for being a town councilor every month to put in there. And Shirley is graciously enough pledged hers. So we're putting the $20 in the can. Anybody else wants to join us certainly can, out there, in here, or whatever. But I think it's a good thing to do. I really do. I was going to bring some examples. We've come a long way with recycling. I can remember being excited when 35% of your cracker box could be recycled. Now they're 100% recyclable, and shirts can be turned, from plastic bottles to nice shirts, and so it seems that's the right thing to do for our environment. So hopefully we'll get this going. I will, as soon as we get the kiosk from the courthouse moved up there, I am going to volunteer to paint that recycled green. And so it will be kind of, as people drive by, we'll see that it's a Superior Recycling Center. Doesn't that sound official? Who knows what could happen from these small beginnings? You never know. It's a start, yes. And thank you so much. Lorena's been working so hard on this. Thank you.
Okay. Historical monument.
Yes, I made some progress on that. I'd like to share more next month. I'm hoping, I have an artist working on having a better drawing of the monument, because the drawing that I initially showed was just a rough draft from Dennis Altoff. That's not his forte. It's in metal that he does his work. So I do have the brick, the Superior, Montana. This brick is one of the choices that you can have when you buy a brick. I think it's going to be kind of cool because that huge saw blade is going to be at the top of the monument. And these will be pavers around the base. So we're getting started. I've got the account now set up. So you can deposit the money there. So hopefully next month I'll have a really nice picture for you of what that looks like and some forms. So more on that next month.
And you got the approval from
Commissioners?
commissioners?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, all right, Tate. Next meeting, or next business, public hearing. So we need to close this, close the regular meeting. So we close it at 8 o'clock. Open it at 8 o'clock. Okay, Tim's up.
Technically tonight you have two public hearings. The variance needs to be a separate action. Unfortunately, we don't have the process of where you can hear about the subdivision, discuss things, and then because you need to act on variances prior to an actual hearing for a subdivision, because if the variances were not successful, then I would have to recommend, like I said before, that you would deny the subdivision. So, but in this case, I'm going to ask you to maybe indulge just a little bit. Andy Short is here from Territorial Landworks, and he knows about the subdivision and proposing it. He's representing Mr. Bates, Kevin Bates, and we're going to be talking about this lot sitting right in here in this Kelly's Addition. It's in the second lot.
I didn't touch it.
Anyway. So I'll just have Andy talk about the proposal in general, and then I'll just come back to you with the discussion about the variances.
Hi,
Hi.
glad to be seeing you guys on the first Monday after daylight savings. Couldn't have picked a better. I hope nobody's missing any of that hour sleep. My name's Andy Short. I represent Territorial Landworks. We're a surveying, engineering, and land use consulting firm out of Missoula. I'm representing Kevin Bates tonight. He's the developer. We're proposing a two-lot subdivision at 402 Pine Street. Two existing homes that have been there over 30 years at least. It's about a 7,000 square foot parcel that we're splitting almost in two, one slightly bigger than the other. Just the way the houses were configured, it makes the most sense. Lot 2B, the variances you're going to hear tonight, Lot 2B is accessed from the alley. It's always been accessed from the alley. And the alley is a 16-foot wide, unobstructed town right-of-way. The sewer and water are both, we believe, both accessed from the alley. We're proposing a 5.6-foot utility easement. And the reason that easement is that exact dimension is because it's just wide enough between the property line and the corner of where the existing home sits. We do have some as-built information on the water line. The sewer's a little bit more unknown. Lot 2A is going to be accessed off Pine Street. Thank you, Tim, for all your help. Tim was extremely helpful through the process. I don't know when the last time you did a town superior subdivision is, but we're excited to bring you this project. Increase the tax base slightly. As Tim said, Kevin's here, the developer's here, so if you got any questions. It's about as simple as a subdivision project as I've ever seen. So I'm going to stop talking about it, and if you guys have any questions, I'll be here. Thanks.
Are there separate hookups for sewer and water for each of the houses now? Or are they on one?
Are they separate hookups?
Are they separate
Yes.
hookups? Okay.
A water line originates out of the alley, comes in here. There's a T that comes into this house, and then it continues over to this house for the water line. We know that the sewer line exits the house, but we're under the mindset that the sewer line probably does travel under that. It was a garage, it wasn't, it's got a crawl space in there, but the sewer's deep enough here that it could easily go underneath that structure. So there's an easement over here that if there's something to happen to that sewer line in that area, they're going to be able to get around it. Worst case scenario, they would have to come out of this house, come out to the street, and go down to the sewer down here. I would believe that the sewer would be depth enough to even go that way.
They couldn't go that way.
We had that discussion.
Yeah, they can't go up front. There's no sewer, they're all in the alleys.
I know, but there's a sewer down here in Fourth.
No, they're all in the alleys.
So there a main that's go down here?
Not a sewer line, no, just water line. Here's Fourth. So all our sewer lines go down the
Oh, I
alleys.
see, you're going that way.
Yeah, so you got the sewer line here. If they couldn't come back here, there's, the next one is in the alley.
If they can't come back here, their worst case scenario is that they set a tank here, put a pump in it, and pump to the alley.
They could lift it to do it that way, but they gotta go to the alley. There's not enough
It's
room
got
to
to go to the alley.
They-
You can get there. There's plenty of mechanisms to do that. It's quite common. It wouldn't necessarily be a step system, but there are many of pump systems you can design that where you dump into a tank with a grinder pump and alarm and access that back into that cell. It would be a little bit tricky with the existing water line in there, but it would take some effort to get through there, but it certainly can be done, so. But I just don't know why we would anticipate that there's going to be a particular problem. The problem would be is that somehow that line collapses in there or something under that building. There's no reason that it would because it's under no grade or anything else.
So what is the plan for this? Are you taking these two houses down and putting new ones up?
No, it's just.
So it's just
make
to divide it?
Divide that. And that's what
Just
we
to
would-
divide it to
that-
sell it,
Just to make,
basically,
well, yeah,
sell
to make
it.
financing a little bit easier, because
Just-
I've had a real tough time getting bank financing on.
A lot with two houses.
One way, yeah.
Gotcha.
There's not a lot
So-
to compare it to. And
There's not going to be really anything
So the-
changed on it.
The
Except
variance requires that on lot 2B, it's 1,500 square feet less, and 2A is 1,400 square feet less, am I correct?
Didn't know there'd be any math.
Yeah.
Well, isn't our town lot supposed to be 5,000 square feet? Isn't that
That's
what it
our
is?
minimum.
That's what I was going to go through.
That's what variances are for.
So
Variances
the
are
first
for that.
variance is from your
Size.
design improvement standards. You adopted subdivision regulations and have kept them. You adopted, there's been 3 sets of subdivision regulations. In the middle set of subdivision regulations in 2008, you adopted another standalone set of design standards for streets and lot size and things because of how the wording was in the standard subdivision regulations. So from that town of Superior section, there's going to need to be 2 variances in this circumstance for this particular subdivision. So, and then so this lot here is about 7,000 square feet. So you're going to divide it up into the 2 lots that I've detailed in there. So yes, both of them will be less than 5,000 square feet, but it's in my recommendation to you that it's not creating a precedent or a new situation because they're there. They've this was converted from a garage into a residence, but having a lot line there isn't going to set the council of the town up for some future subdivision that says you did it over here, so why not there? This is kind of a unique circumstance in that way. So I didn't discuss with the mayor whether you wanted to take motions on both the variances or do them both together.
I have them listed separately on the agenda for two separate motions.
So unless you have any further questions to me about the lot size of the 2 lots and the line going in there, the description and the layouts are in your subdivision packet there that's provided and stuff, then it would be appropriate for the council to take action on the first variance request for lot size.
Tim, how long was that house, or the garage been converted into a house?
What's that?
How long ago was the garage converted into a house?
Let's see, she was
Long time.
31,
Yeah.
so
I think
probably.
we should have tacked some-
Cadastral has this converted, Cadastral has this constructed in 1978, or 68, 1968. There was a change in electrical permit about 5-6 years after that, so,
Yeah, been quite a while.
yeah. It's, quite some time, that it was going to be.
Why do you say, Tim, that later on, somebody else ain't gonna come by and say, well, you did it for him? You granted him a variance, why don't you grant me one? Why do you say that?
Because you should make that assessment for variances that's given by a local governing body. You don't want to sit there and thing out there and put a variance out there that you know that other people are going to be asking for, that's going to create you headaches. And not so much for this one, because these are existing, but especially that alley access one. That's the one you don't want to try to set yourselves up for a precedent. You want to discourage any alley access, so that's the other part of it. But, just in general, you want to have enough lot size in there that you're uniform with the other lots in town. All of the Kelly's Edition, Horning Edition, first, second, third, Wort Pond. They're just dealing with Wort Pond down here, that almost all of those lots were of the same size or platting circumstances like that. What they ended up doing is that they made 4 a little bit narrow lots and then a wider lot, and so you're just trying to stay that consistency with any new subdivision that would be proposed for the town, where there's some other area where they're going to create new lots, and do that part of it. That was what was held with the lots out on Chicago Avenue out there. They met that design criteria and that lot size and stuff. So you don't want it. But if somebody always knew that you were going to just grant a variance, gee, I want all these little small lots and stuff, that is going to match up with your town.
Any further discussion on this?
Okay. Add a little bit to it?
Sure.
And just so everybody's aware, the lot to the north is almost exactly what we're doing in this situation here. And the variances, I didn't want to harp on anything because I feel like you guys got the packet, and I'm assuming that everyone read it, but it's when I drop these variances, right, I kind of make a decision: is this something that is a hardship that exists, and it's clearly it's a unique circumstance, right? The homes have been there for, I guess we're saying now, over 4 years, and at the end of the day, there's going to be what you're going to experience is no change, right? It's an imaginary line that's going to be placed on the ground. So the unique circumstances that the home and the use has been there for an extremely long time, and we're not bringing anything new, adding any kind of new circumstance that's going to change.
Okay, let me ask you this. If it's granted, right, and the property owner now wants to sell off one of the lots, and they do have problems with the sewer, is the other person going to be able to go across their lot?
Yeah.
That's why they did the.
There's a restriction in the...
Yeah. There's a utility easement that we're placing on the side here of the yard.
That would be enough to put that sewer line
It would be enough
through?
to put that sewer line through. Yeah.
So with this proposal, they're not proposing to actually have that sewer line changed now? Just change the boundary line or make the variance there so that...
Right. It's so if the sewer was to fail tomorrow, this is exactly where it would. This is what they would have to do to put a new sewer line in.
They'd have to go on that easement.
Yeah, they'd have. Just by physical limitations, that's where they would have to go.
It's doable. Dwayne Reynolds did the water line through there. He had to reach over the top of the fence, dig through there, and then get on the backside and work his way down there, and then put the lines down in. So if it failed, they bring the one from the front and then the other one and put 2 lines down into the alley right down that easement. So it's doable.
So they're not really proposing to separate the lines with the houses right now,
No.
only until it fails.
Right.
All we're talking about doing right now is a legal imaginary fence.
So we can sell to the 2 pieces.
Yeah, and when Kevin, Kevin and I started talking about this last summer, and the issue was trying to do financing on a parcel with two houses. There was just nothing similar where, you know, the banks were like, oh yeah, this is what it's worth, basically. So, you know, he was like, makes sense, just based on the development pattern that they were existing in a pre-app with Tim, that, you know, this kind of seemed like something that makes sense. So.
Any further- Can't make a motion yet.
That's right.
Right, you have to
I-
close-
You can't
I was all
close the
set.
meeting.
Public hearing. You have to go back to
So
the
now we have to
regular
close the meeting.
Close.
Close this meeting. Is everybody okay with that? Close the meeting.
Close the meeting.
Imaginary line.
Okay, open the meeting.
Now
Oh.
we'll open regular meeting. Okay. So now, go on to variance number 1. Minimum lot size.
I'll make a motion that we issue a variance as requested and as defined in the packet.
A second. A second.
All right, who's first? Any further discussion? Question?
Hey,
Aye.
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 Okay. So now, going on to the next one, the variance to the alley access. That's one we also need a motion on.
We don't have to open and close anything?
No,
No,
no, you're back
take a
in open
motion.
session. You're
Okay.
back in
Yeah,
open
we're back
session,
in
so-
regular session.
All right.
So,
what do you mean at LA access?
because where that one house is,
So,
you have to go
You
down
mean
the alley.
allowing
It's improving it.
them to go into the house?
This lot here
Like they've
now
been
is
doing for
gaining
years,
access
yeah.
by the alley. And it's getting an address of 402 because you're not named any of the alleys. There's nothing there to apply an address to, so we have to just split that with that 402. I know that your fire chief knows exactly where 402 and a half. Pine
Alley
is.
Street.
So it's Alley Street.
So my question is, why do we have an ordinance saying that you can't use an alley for primary access?
Because if you try to, go ahead, jump. No.
We wouldn't know where to go.
Yeah.
You know, I had the discussion with Rob, you know, pretty extensively about that, and he says, you're not gonna, your tendency, you don't want somebody to be driving in there to think that you're gonna access the emergency, fight the fire, do that. And it's not just the fire, it's the ambulance, it's anything that you're gonna respond to in there. Rob was indicating to me, and I think Steve would echo it, is that everything is gonna stop out there and you're gonna have to drag hoses to go down
Yeah.
there.
Alleys by their nature are substandard. There's not enough room to get a fire engine in there as well as vehicles and everything else you're going to need, police, ambulance. So they're substandard. So you do it by variance, not by norm.
Have you been down that particular alley, Steve? Did you get?
No,
a
I
truck
have
in
not,
there?
no, I had no reason to go down there.
They can get a truck in there. I've taken my plow, which is 12 feet wide down there. It's really close.
Yeah, I drove in there.
I bet it is.
I drove in the other day with the Silverado, it's pretty close.
Snow storage
Might
could be a
cheap.
problem.
Yes, it is.
Have you guys had any problems getting down that,
You know,
to respond to that?
no, not too bad. I mean, when the snow's deep, you know, a car doesn't go down there real well.
Well, I'm
Other
not
than that,
surprised, but,
I mean, we always have the issue of people parking in there.
right. Yeah, Ernie said we had to move some people out of there because one car blocks it.
Oh, yeah.
What about ambulances?
Yeah.
You okay with an ambulance?
Well, if you can get a 12-foot plow through there, I'm
They
sure you
can-
can get an ambulance.
It's
through there.
16 foot wide.
Yeah.
And it's just that she has to park, they have to park off the alley. You know,
Yeah.
They can't park in there. Nobody should block the alley. So they have room to park right in that
One-
back.
Yeah.
And they've had 2 vehicles in there.
Have they?
Yeah.
One of the unique things about this alley is there's an exit. If
Yeah.
you were going down that alley as a dead end and you were to take a big piece of equipment like a plow or a
That would be
furniture,
different.
it'd be different because you'd have a dead end alley.
Yeah, you-
You get an exit at the end of this alley.
put that in.
In the, if we didn't put the line there, the house is still going to get
Situation's
access right there. In the subdivision regs, I believe a 20-foot unobstructed view is normally what's required, and we've got 16 here, so we're 4 feet less of what's normally required. But again, nothing's changing.
We do need a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a
On the
motion
var-
on the,
variance
What,
number 2,
number
alley
2?
access.
I make a motion that we approve that. Alley access.
Bonnie,
Bonnie. Any further discussion? Question?
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
So you have enabled yourselves to hear me some more, talk about the subdivision if you would like, or if you just want to take action on it, and not listen
No,
to me.
no, now
they're
you're going to be acting on, they're going to be acting on this part of it.
You're on our agenda, you gotta go for it.
All right, subdivision.
By our agreement, I have prepared you a findings of facts. As Andy alluded to, they are pretty shortened. What's unique about this tract, I was going to have it in my brain of when that Kelly addition was platted. It's a 52, 50,
Long time ago.
I can't read that small print, but it's either, a lot of these were in the 50s. So anyway, this is a platted subdivision. Because this was platted as early as it was, this is an original lot that was of record in 1973. Therefore, the planning board didn't hear this, it only goes to the town council. So your recommendations that you have from this about the findings of fact are from you and not the planning board. But I just wanted to let you know that's why the planning board, if the planning board would have heard this, they would have to consider the 2 variances and the subdivision program and do that. So, the third paragraph down, the first just describes what we're doing. We all talked about that. The third paragraph, we have to give public notice. We sent notices registered to these people over here that actually, what you consider joining, we reached out and went around a larger circle and notified those people of the subdivision application. It's been posted in the paper for the 15-day, not less than 30-day, or not more than 15-day. That was met, and so it's now before you. So, and I'm thinking that we're generally in compliance with the ghost policy and the subdivision regulations. So you've considered the variances, so those are taken care of at this time. I just cannot see any effect on agriculture. I don't think they're going to try to farm anything effectively on that piece of property there. So, the local services, they're existing. The ambulance, fire, school, all of it's existing. I abbreviated it quite a bit. You could probably have change of occupancy there, but very likely it's not going to significantly change unless a family moves in. And I'm not sure if kids come busting out of the alley now and get on the bus or not. So nothing with the natural environment, because you typically are looking at physical structures outside of that. The power goes down the alley down here, but it's a typical feeder line that's on poles in there. There's some of the other utilities down there. I didn't confirm where the telephone is, but I'm presuming that telephone is coming overhead. The middle of town, effect on wildlife and wildlife habitat. This was added in the last 2 legislatures ago, that you have to give very careful consideration to that. You can deny a subdivision over that. I would definitely recommend that you do not deny it over wildlife in that area.
There might be wildlife there, but maybe the 2-legged guy.
Well, the bar is just 2 blocks down.
Yeah, that kind of wildlife.
So I made some comment about the existing services and the alley access in there, and that we have discussed those other parts of that. So legal physical access, this I don't think is going to be a problem. It's a platted alley, so they don't really concern themselves about the particular width and thing like that. It's just that something is platted, that it's public, that you can get your legal access to. So it has both legal and physical. So, just not necessary to really have any covenants here. It would not accomplish anything to have a two-lot. In fact, it's impractical to do that because you need at least 3 households, because you need to have a president of the homeowners association, a vice president, and a secretary. You can't do that with 2 houses. Minors are not subject to parklands, so there was no other mitigation that I thought that was appropriate because of the existing nature of the subdivision. So if this subdivision is allowed and they plat, then the taxes on this whole piece of property will have to be paid prior to the platting with the clerk and recorder. Tom Moore, your county town attorney, will review the platting report and the final plat, and we've walked through a few of these. It's been a little while, but we will get that done. And then if there is some lending agency involved in that, then they sign a consent to plat that they have no problem with the division of the land. And sounds like that would not be a big problem. I did confirm that the way we set up the sub-regulations and what we did is that lots in town that are subdivided are subject to the weed management laws and things. I somehow thought we kind of went around that one, but we didn't. And since I have a concurrent subdivision in Alberton, where the weed laws makes a difference in this one. This one, I'm just recommending to you that there be no condition that they'd have to abide by the weed
You're talking about the
sections for
state
the
law, right?
subdivision and do that. So.
Because there is a weed ordinance.
I was
And
going to say, we
yours in
You'll have our
town,
own weed
you
ordinance.
have your own weed
Weed
ordinance.
ordinance in town.
You don't have to submit a weed plan to the county and assess the weed types
Yeah.
and commit to a 5-year spraying plan.
Spraying plan, yeah. Well, but we do have one.
So I've also provided you with staff recommendations for the condition approval. This is pretty standard. I would, in some cases, some circumstances, trying to be totally objective, is provide you also with a condition for denial. I'm just not seeing anything at this time. If we come up with something in the discussion, I can help you craft that for a reason why you would wish to deny the subdivision. So it just stays local with the review for the water, sewer, those type of things, and we're pretty well finished that, did the research and got that information out there. Like I said, legal and physical access is going to be on the plat. Utility easements, we've put that easement in here for this, where they can gain access to that water and sewer in the alley there. I discussed that the taxes are paid, and your attorney reviews the products and about the scant. So if they come in for final plat approval, then they need to pay a $75 fee and $5 per lot for the final review. And then there's reporting fees and stuff. So we use the examining land surveyor that we have under contract, and they would be looking at the final plat and drawing up that. So at that point in time, because our Department of Revenue is rather attentive about things, when we put that line in there, they would like the owner to redeed themselves the 2 new parcels with the new descriptions, and that's something that certainly can be done. It begs a difference because if you file this plat with the clerk and recorder, this is a legal document, and that's the way that they are. But the Department of Revenue says that these really don't exist until you deed them to yourselves. We differ about that, but anyway, that's right. So the conditions are valid for 3 years by the subdivision regulations for the county and the towns, and then they could request an extension if they didn't happen to get that done at this time. So with that, if you want to have additional public discussion, this is the time. Otherwise, you can close that public meeting and take action on the subdivision.
This was just
Or-
a discussion on
What's
the
that?
amended plat, the plat part, because the public hearing was closed. They can't take action
Oh,
during
okay.
the public hearing. So they just need
I
to
did-
grant conditional approval.
We were
Is
talking-
conditional approval correct?
Conditional preliminary plat approval.
So moved.
Okay, number one.
Second.
Shelby, number two. Any further discussion? Question?
Good.
Aye.
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 Okay, on to the Mineral Community Foundation
Thank you.
Memorandum of Understanding Swimming Pool.
The Mineral County Community Foundation, of course, is the umbrella for the pool in the park. Is that what they're calling it now? People in the pool in the park. one of
People
their-
for the pull in the park.
Okay.
Is what they're called.
Okay, so they're for that group. And the foundation would like to have a memorandum of understanding with the town. When I received that, I emailed to the mayor, and the mayor instructed me to have Tom Orr, our town attorney, review it. Because there were a couple things I was concerned about too. And Tom, you can see where Tom has made his comments.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
They don't want to listen to this.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it either.
Yeah, about the volunteer portion, he would like to have a little bit more definition of some of the things they'd be volunteering for, the volunteers would be doing. The section that regards the town's committing the funds, Tom has suggested language about the town is creating those funds. We've talked before that those funds would stay in the town books, in the town control, just in a capital improvement fund specified for the pool for the duration of the fundraising, or, if and when they can raise the money for the pool. At
Now,
that
that's the fund that the city would put in.
Right, that's like, if the pool's not opening, what we would be budgeting, what we normally started budgeting in 17 would be moved over. I looked at the budget was $50,000, about 52, so round it to 50,000, move that into a special capital improvement fund each year. But, he wanted more definition on that. It's a very vague of how that was. He listed some, in his email, gave some language that would be better for the town.
See, that's where I was a little bit confused, because it said 1-3.
Yeah.
And
I
that's-
think he's got his numbers.
He's got the numbers mixed
Okay.
up. He's
Yeah.
got the numbers
Yeah.
mixed up. So that's okay, just ignore his numbers. It goes in here in 2.7, essentially,
Okay.
okay? On the next one, under policies, under the reimbursements, it is kind of confusing as to who's doing this part of this.
Oh,
And he also mentioned that within that, they should have that who's reviewing the reimbursements for any of the work parties, that their food for the work parties, or mileage for trips to secure materials or something like that. If they're going to be reimbursing somebody, there should be some oversight that should be listed in this, that as to which party is doing that oversight. Is it the MCCF board, or are they expecting the town to do some of that? My understanding is any of the monies that you guys are dealing with, the MCCF board is doing
Yeah.
that. And I think that needs to be just a little bit more defined. And then on the next line, he just suggested that the accounting to the town should be on more like a quarterly basis, a defined time period, rather than just once in a while. Or from time to time.
Well, Brenda, on that 3.2,
Mhm.
under policies,
Mhm.
I guess I don't like the wording where it says accounting of all expenses and revenues towards this project will be kept by MCCF. So is that accounting
I think that's,
the revenues the town has?
No, because the town would have to count for our own
Okay.
And even
Well,
if
it
we
makes
wrote
it
the
sound-
checks out, those checks are gonna have to be approved and reviewed by this council
Yeah.
and taken through there, so,
Yeah,
um,
'cause it says all expenses and revenues, so.
right,
kinda
that
makes
might
it-
be something.
I was
that-
confused whether that meant that we were putting aside as a town.
I'm assuming she's talking about, the expenses that they pay out. They would continually let you know what they were paying out. I could ask her
Yeah,
Right.
it's kinda-
on that.
And then
It's kinda
his
confusing.
last thing on the breaches, you can see where he said, this needs to go completely out of there. It can be, there could be, if there's an issue, it can be negotiated or talked about, but I agree with him, and here's why, is laws do change. And a good change, example is we get the HB 124 entitlement that we've gotten since the year of 2000. There's been some rumblings that the legislature's going to go after that money. I'm hoping not, because just for the town, Denley, it affects us 175,000 is our portion this year. I'm not sure what the county's, but I know it's a lot more than us. And for us, it would be 160 mills to try to fill in general fund, or within 3 or 4 funds. So, if that would happen, if they took a healthy chunk of that away from the city, you're not going to be able to put $50,000 over into that account, most likely. You're going to be looking at your major services, fire, just to run the basics essentially. So we want to be cautious that we're able to put away what we can, but we're not going to be able to, cause us a breach if we're, stranded by a law change or even a major change in the valuations that could affect us or anything. You just don't know.
Did you send a copy of this to her?
Not yet. I haven't. Somebody was supposed to be here at this meeting.
Yeah,
And nobody came.
Liz told me that she thought she'd be here. I would send a copy of this to
So-
her. And, I mean, this is not anything that had to be
No.
acted on right away.
No,
mean,
I
she
told
knew
him,
that.
yeah, I told him it'd probably take a couple of months. So,
Basically, I know some of the reasoning for this was if they applied for a grant, they wanted you to know that they would do the work applying for it, but you're gonna have to, actually,
on some of those grants, yes,
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, because there's some that'll end up having to funnel through the town because the town has to be the entity. And we talked about
yes.
that, and I don't have any issues with that whatsoever.
I just sent it back to her, and you can explain to her.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted the council to know
Yeah, this
where
is
you're
not
at,
something
what
we
we're
have
looking
to act
at.
on today or anything, I'm sure. Because we're a long ways off.
Right,
And because I think it even said 1 to 5 years
yeah.
in the, is what,
Right.
expected,
Are you meeting with them soon?
yeah, I should meet with them on Wednesday, I believe.
Okay. We talked about, this grant was talked about when we were looking at the skate park, but that's the one we decided not to because we would have to become the
Where was
designated
that?
forever LCWF through the federals. But Eva Horning Park is already
It's already-
designated as that because they receive funds through this. The one thing I do know about that is you have to have all the funds in place somehow to make sure, and they'd have to read those things, but I think it's up to 350,000. It's a 50-50 match, so
And this isn't a one
it's a,
time,
it's
one year,
They do it every year.
every year, okay.
Yeah.
Because, until we actually get the, cost assessment,
Right,
we're not writing grants.
right. But at least it's an opportunity to watch for.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I will pass that off to them.
Okay. Moving on. Resolution number 450, a resolution requesting distribution of bridge and road safety and accountability programs fund. And this is for the Department of Transportation.
The tax.
This is
HB 473, gas tax.
the new gas tax. Yes. And Under that process, does it show? No, doesn't show in there. Where's my notes? Roger and Rodney went through. Yeah, you can take the motion first, then we can discuss this. Yeah.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion we adopt resolution number 450.
Okay.
Now discussion.
Roger and Rodney went around 8 places that we're going to use for patching the streets, because it's, the amount that we're going to get is $8,616 this year, so it's not a ton, but under the webinars, they were very adamant, I think they said it about 5 times, that they really want us to get this up and going, so that people can talk about what is being done. So we have to match, and our match is budgeted out of the general fund for the $450. That'll be transferred from general fund over to the new gas tax funds. And then the estimated cost with shadow paving is $12,100. They've done a lot of work for us over the years. So we're going to be using regular gas tax funds for the remaining $3,035.
So we can do that?
Yes, we can do that, as long as we have that match for the general fund. They don't care how you add more money into it, but you gotta have that match, but it cannot be from the, you
Can't
can't
be from the gas
count,
tax.
yeah, you can't count that from the old gas tax. It's a real interesting little thing. Now, tomorrow we'll see when I'm online to see how easy it is going to be to file for this.
Yeah, and the thing is too, it is new for everybody, so, there may be some questions, there may be some glitches that happen, but the key part of this was the accountability. And that's why they wanted specific projects, and it wasn't just an add-on to the other gas tax. And so that's what it was all about, was to get the accountability. There'll be audit and a yearly report of how this money is being spent. And when I sent that letter, you understand that's 4 months worth. It's supposed to have been 6, but the way they take it in and spend it out again, you're only getting the first 4 months, and then next year you'll get 12 months worth.
Yep.
I wondered if we could.
Any further discussion?
Aye.
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 See the good job you did?
A lot more heat than you know.
Yeah, I think I sent a few emails. A lot of people were.
Okay. So, next on the list, Public Works Department positions.
We started at the last meeting asking the council to start thinking about the fact Roger is retiring on September 30th. And, yeah, so to help get some continuity and people in place and ready, we are requesting the recommended timeline that we put together, and that we start, like tomorrow, hosting for 5 days in-house, which is our procedure, for anybody in the department or in the town that wants to apply for it within our department. Rodney is interested in that. Mayor come back at the next meeting with a recommendation to either promote or advertise, depending, and that with a starting date of 9/1. So then, in the April meeting, we are going to ask that you approve advertising, if Rodney is promoted, to advertise for that position, and starting 3 or 4 times in July, 3 times in July, with a deadline for July 31st, so that there's time during August for the committee interviews, reference and background checks, with a higher date to start September 5th or September 10th, so that when he's ending on vacation and Rodney's taking over, we still have 2 people and time, a little bit of start training.
Do we need a motion? I move that we adopt the hiring timeline as proposed.
Second.
I'm just wondering if we should make that start date for, if Rodney, does the thing a little bit earlier.
For him or for the,
for another
For a
employee.
new guy.
okay, so
I
if
I
we
think that
want,
wouldn't hurt.
it
No,
wouldn't hurt.
uh,
Training time.
So that they have a chance before you're off,
Before I'm gone.
and they kind of have an idea of what goes on, because you're still on the 4/10s in September.
Yeah.
So, there's one day there,
That it won't
that
be.
that they would be by themselves, so I would like to see them actually, have a
More in
little,
August,
a week or
July,
so,
August?
knowing what they're doing.
You want to start
Actually,
July or
the
August?
deadline for the application is July, have them start in August.
Yeah, I would say
But
sometime.
that, if you
You
do it
start
at the
to-
end of July, how are you gonna start them in middle of August if you don't get everything done?
I would,
I mean, you want us to advertise in June? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter when,
Yeah.
if you
Just
want me to
move it,
start them now,
yeah.
it's fine, it's just we'll have to wait till the April meeting to deal with the public works position part of it.
I think, yeah, you could advertise in June.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean,
And if you get him
June.
coming on in the middle of August and then the first 2 weeks of September, that gives them a month together.
yeah.
And I'm on
so
vacation there, I'm not gone, I'm just gonna be at home,
Yeah,
so
but
I'll still be around.
They need to get a feel for what
Yeah.
goes on. I mean, you can't throw somebody in there in the dark and say,
Oh, here you go. Yeah.
So with the start date of August 1,
You've done that, huh?
is that what we're gonna shoot for? Start date of August 1? Start date of August 1?
that's a Wednesday, why don't you start them on a Monday or something?
No, we do everything by the month anyway, yeah. Ours are all by the month, it doesn't matter where
Okay,
they
start
start.
them.
If you want to start them on the
Just push everything forward.
6th, that's fine too. I was wondering why the 6th is red.
Six.
Yeah.
Which one do you want them to start on?
First through the sixth.
Yeah, 6 is good.
Okay.
And is that starting what date, what?
August 6th.
August
Everything stops.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, yeah, all the horse
All
food.
the beer cans.
Sorry, that wasn't very nice.
So that would
Yeah,
be
August
a
20.
hire with a start date of August 6th?
Mhm. Okay.
Then I'm assuming you're probably gonna promote him. I'm gonna recommend him. He's gonna put his app in and everything. Would you like him to come to the next meeting so that you can maybe throw some questions at him?
Yeah, that would probably be a good
You know,
idea.
so he can
Yeah.
come and then he can see what's going on and he'll know and,
Toughen him up.
yeah.
You know, you got it.
And they can just personally promote him and he'll be the guy in training. He's already in training, he's doing all the paperwork and everything, but at this time,
It'll be official.
when he comes in and if you promote to me, if you're putting in, I'm gonna say, call Rodney. I mean, I'm still gonna do my job and all that stuff, but have him start taking over some of the decisions, a little bit.
Kind of ease him into things.
Yeah. There's a dog running
That's
loose.
no fun.
Call Rodney.
You're gonna love this, aren't
Call
you?
him at 2 o'clock in the morning, congratulate him on his new job.
You can extend your vacation.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got that, wait, let me finish. So now we need the question, if there's no further
You
discussion.
want to amend the
Can we
motion?
just amend the motion?
You just said the hiring schedule, so.
Oh, as
hiring
you,
schedule.
okay.
Okay, well,
As in,
Works for me.
Yeah.
the hiring schedule.
So, question.
Aye.
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 All right. Okay. You're cooking over here.
I'm doing my best not to count down everything, but it's good.
That smile is really.
Look at you.
It says everything. I know.
He started a year and a half ago.
He knows
I don't
every
have to
day.
do this ever again.
So I'm not really trying my best, that was sarcasm, but.
I know. I can tell.
Okay. On to fire hall boiler for in-floor heat.
When the fire hall was constructed, money was scarce, community was generous, a lot of things came together, this planets and stars aligned, and we got a great opportunity to build this facility, but we had to eliminate a few things along the way. And one of those was a perceived expensive boiler system to run in-floor heating. But in the wisdom of the town council and the fire chief, the lines were installed in the concrete. And that's the huge thing, you cannot put in later. They're in, they're ready to go.
Put it under here. Did they come under here?
No.
Oh,
That would be,
that would be really nice.
fortunate, wouldn't it? But the decision was made to overhead heat, and they've been fine for a while. One of them failed recently, and as Energy Partners came over and was talking to us, they said those are incredibly inefficient because you're heating the entire space up to 18 feet. The minute the doors open, it's all gone, and your slab is back to where it was cold again. And they recommended that we seriously look at doing the in-floor heating system and bringing it online. And said they'd go back and sharpen their pencil and see what they could do to make it affordable. And came back with a written quote to do that work for $8,270, I think it
Actually,
is.
I don't think that's too bad.
$8,270.
$8,270. Now,
That's pretty,
if you talk to the people that have done this before in commercial buildings, that's a lot more money. Or this is a lot less than they have spent to do their in-floor heating systems. And it's largely because Energy Partners is really trying to make this work for us. They have priced a lot of these things at cost and really cut corners on the labor and said they'll work with us to get it up and running on behalf of the city. So they're your friends and partners in this. We recommend we go ahead and do this. I had the opportunity to talk to the rural fire district recently and floated the idea before them, and they were very interested in it. Alan Brockway said that he would support it, but Alan says we'll go a long way with the rural district, so I'm hoping that they would be willing to pay for half of it. So now we've got not only a real affordable cost to do it, savings by not having the overhead gas furnaces, and the rural district willing to kick in half the money. So it's really gained a lot of momentum, and we've made a lot of progress. The real straw that broke the camel's back came a few days ago when we heard that Kirby had gone back to the Missoula office and said, can't we help them even more? And they cut another $2,000 off their bid. So their bid's now $6,200, with the rural district paying half of that $3,000 and the town paying a $3,000 remaining balance. So it's opportunity for it to move forward at a very affordable and reasonable cost, with a lot of people agreeing to help out.
nice, nice.
We recommend you move forward with it.
Absolutely.
This was one of the things that USDA, when they came in and did the review, because they were the ones that gave us the loan, we got our loan money on this building. And that was one of the questions he had of Roger is, have you done the boiler yet?
Yeah, you put all that in, are you gonna ever use it?
Yes.
We didn't wanna give you money for nothing.
Steve,
Yeah.
is this a condensing boiler?
Gas boiler?
A condensing boiler?
You got me there. Is it a
Okay.
condensing boiler?
Well, condensing boiler, it is a little more efficient
Okay.
because what it does, it takes and burns also the exhaust again.
Well, like
But-
regeneration.
Yeah, but you get water that comes from it, okay, that you have to dispel. And I know that Kirby knows about them, I just,
Well, I can find out for you and get back with you. That will help.
well, I mean, I'm all for doing this, I just want to see us, you know, if we had to spend an extra $1,000 and put a more efficient one in, I'd rather spend another $1,000, you know.
I'll do that research and get back with you, and
I mean, you know, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, you'll utilize it way more and you'll save energy way more.
they brought their engineering department out here to look at it and make a recommendation.
Well, then that's probably what they're putting in, I'm gonna assume. You'll be able to dry your hoses and stuff way better too,
Oh, yeah. The floor will dry quicker,
yeah.
it's safer, it's good all the way around.
which, yeah. I'll make a motion, we, go ahead with this project to put a boiler in the.
Any further discussion?
Yeah. You know, how many years ago did we build this? About 7
5.
years ago?
Oh, no, we were in Northside, about 6.
6?
About
Yeah.
6.
And I remember talking about the heat, putting stuff on the floor. And John and I drove up to Whitefish and looked at their new fire station up there, and they had heat in the floor, and it was just And they got a really nice operation up there, and it was brand new, and we were kind of looking around at. And we got back here looking, well, we don't have that kind of money. We're tight for bucks. And so we were cutting things and, trying to get the most we could. Patterson, the contractor, was helping out some too. And it took a lot to get this fire station built. And a lot of people doing a lot of work behind the scenes. And, I've always known that, those tubes are in the floor in there. And one of these days we're going to need to hook them up. And, that stuff hanging on the wall up there, in that 18-foot wall, is inefficient. So I'm just really tickled that this is getting
That's
done.
nice.
And the fact that you just come in here tonight, tell us you knocked another couple thousand off of it, well, that's just icing on the cake.
Thank Kirby when you see him.
Well, I'll do that.
Yeah.
He went straight to Missoula with the request.
Now, I think this is kind of like a culmination of a long 6-year process.
I think it'll pay for itself.
Guaranteed, yeah.
4 to 5 years. You'll see it in the cost of, amount of propane that you burn.
We'll still keep the heaters so that we can use them in the event of an emergency or they'll be.
Why take them down? But,
They won't hurt.
You might save just one slip accident, it'll cost you way more.
Yeah, by drying up those floors.
Yeah.
Okay. Further discussion? Question?
Aye.
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 All right.
Legal. None. Clerk's business. Okay, you need my notes for my report. The only thing that I forgot that I didn't put in there is recently Blackfoot changed how their rates and some of their programs and stuff. And so I had them come in and they reviewed all of the stuff, signed a proposal with them to, they're going to bring in all brand new phones for us again. They are going to increase our internet. Right now we have 4 to 1, which is slower than most. And we are going to 25 and 1. They are going to combine the one water bill that's separate right now into the remaining bill. We're taking the dedicated fax line out, going to a unified fax where the faxes can actually come directly to our email. And we scan, most of what we do now is we scan and email. Our fax is mainly being used for, do you want to go to Cancun? Literally, these stupid advertisements that, we very seldom fax anything. And it's going to save about $71 a month. Yeah.
Is that improvement?
Yeah, and they're bringing in he came down, they're bringing in a new modem and all that stuff, updating all the equipment.
They're putting the modem in
Yeah.
for nothing.
Yeah, they're putting it, and it's gonna be $6 a month for that modem, but they're responsible to fix anything if it breaks. We can buy it, but if it breaks, then we'd have to buy it again, so don't wanna do that. So, nope. Okay. Consent agenda.
I make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Any discussion? Discussion.
Aye.
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 All right.
Why did we get our financial compliance report in our packet?
Oh, because he didn't, they brought it, or they mailed them.
That's the
So
audit.
that's the audit, that's our audit, and they sent us a new copy after I've already given you this. But the State Department of Local Government Services wanted them to change a little bit of verbiage, so they had to amend it. Immaterial thing, the bite of the report is still the same. There's a copy of the letter, we responded. We are no longer using the stamp, and I submitted that response, I uploaded that on the portal to the state, they've accepted it, so we're all good to go at this point. Before we close or anything too, after you're done talking, so we need to introduce.
Oh, yeah, who are, the sheriff walked in with his whole posse here.
That's right, it's a posse.
I've been afraid to go get a cup of coffee.
There's a cost to it.
This is our new
Letter
deputy.
these kids to Ryan Funk, new deputy.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
So I would.
We should have had.
Do you want everybody's names? Tom, Bonnie, Emily,
Well-
Shirley.
He got it.
Yeah, well,
He's very quick.
Sorry about that.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming to the meeting.
Yes, thank you for staying there all that
Motion to
time.
adjourn.
Second.
Bonnie, wait. Bonnie.
Did you get
Kelly.
it?
Any discussion? Question?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
All right.
Ay, ay, ay.